Hi there, it's Nicole here today, and I am sharing a card created with the Simon Says Stamp and Altenew STAMPtember exclusive limited edition stamp set called Fabulous You. And what I'm creating today is I am adding shading to solid stamped images with Copic markers. It's so easy and it is just really simple. Solid stamping is way faster than coloring in the whole image with Copics, but you still might want some of that shading detail, and I'm going to share a really quick and easy way to create this card. I'm using the large floral from Fabulous You, and I'm going to start with that on and stamp that on some smooth white cardstock using the Altenew crisp ink in jet black. This is going to be the outline of my image. This ink stamps in a beautiful, if you're looking for a really dark, crisp black ink, this is a fabulous one. You'll see when I lift this up that the results, the outline is really pretty. I even think this would be pretty for a very clean and simple card with just a elegant stamped sentiment. Now, what is awesome about the Fabulous You stamp set is there are solid images that work with all the outlines. I'm going to go ahead and line up all of the greenery pieces all at once. The three flowers are all in one image, but the greenery all is in separate little pieces here, you can see. And this is going to make it easy stamping it with the Misty or another stamp positioner type tool, because you can stamp them all at once. Now again, I'm going to be doing some solid stamping, and this is with the Forest Glades crisp ink, also from Altenew. I'm going to stamp that down really well, and you can see I missed a little spot. Very easy with a stamp positioner to just go ahead and press that back down and get that filled in. If you don't want to do any of the shading, the image looks really beautiful just stamped as is as well. Next, I'm going to take the flower and move that around until it kind of lines up perfectly. Go ahead and ink this up now with the Altenew crisp ink in Coral Berry. I love this color. I think it's really pretty. I'm going to stamp this. And there is my floral image. From here, I want to go ahead and add some shading and detail to my flowers with Copic markers. And I have a couple shades per area. So 2 green shades and 2 kind of peachy red shades. And adding a little bit of that darker color just here and there. Even with just the addition of that darker color, you can see that it adds instant depth and dimension. To soften and smooth some of those dark edges now, I'm taking a slightly lighter marker, almost the color of the ink that I stamped the solid area with, and blending out some of those harsher lines. It helps smooth them out just a little bit. And I'm going to do this for all of the greenery areas on the card. Instantly, you get that fantastic depth and dimension. Add a little bit more up here at the top. Now for the flowers, I was a little bit more careful because there's some of those white highlight areas, and I decided not to color those in. I wanted to leave that kind of as is, so I'm going around it with my darker color again, kind of flicking out from the center to get that nice layered look. Then I'll go back with a lighter color and again soften up those edges so that they aren't quite so harsh. So not even going maybe quite towards the center, just a little bit more out towards the edge and softening up those ends. If it blends out a little too much, you can always go back and go over it again and again as you need to. Such a pretty flower. Altenew is known for their fantastic florals, their layering, stamps, especially their layering florals, just gorgeous designs. And this is a wonderful addition to that. This is a 6x8 stamp set, this STAMPtember exclusive. And it's just, well, it doesn't say that, but it is an oversized. It's not gonna fit in your, if you put them in storage pockets like I do, you're gonna need the bigger storage pockets, which I'm so excited that Simon Says Stamp is carrying now. And these are just going to be a great addition. And another thing that I love about this stamp set is there are lots and lots of different greetings and ways to mix and match the greetings. So you can create a lot of different kinds of cards. Florals are a fantastic basic. You can use them with lots of styles. My card's a thank you card, but there are friendship greetings, miss you greetings, love greetings, hello greetings. You could do a lot of different things with this. I removed the foam insert from the Misty, and I'm going to stamp over the whole background here. I'm not going to do any masking or anything like that, but with a very light ink. This is the Simon Says Stamp Barely Beige ink, and the brand new for STAMPtember Good Reading background. I'm going to add a really soft, very subtle background. Because it's so light, I don't mind stamping over the whole greeting. It only adds interest to the design. It really doesn't take away from it. And that Barely Beige is a perfect ink for doing this. When everything is very dry, the dye ink will dry really quickly, but you don't want to do this next step right away just in case. I'm going to go ahead and take a powder tool or an anti-cling tool, run that over the background. I have lined up the thanks and then the My Sweet Friend greetings from the Fabulous You stamp set. Stamp those with Versamark ink and then sprinkling on some gold embossing powder. This is the Fawn gold embossing powder. I can't say enough great things about the brand new embossing powders from Fawn. I really, really like all 4 colors. I'll go ahead and heat set this. The gold is going to make this a little bit more elegant and really pretty, and it's going to tie into some of the gilding flakes that I'm going to add along the bottom edge of the card here in a second. At this point, after I had got my greetings stamped, I'd kind of held off on this because I was waiting to see kind of where the greeting would fall once I had the floral all stamped and colored in and my greeting placed. I want to add one of those small little branches kind of over here next to the greeting. I think it really kind of rounds out the design. I'm trying to figure out the best way to add that. And it's just this small little branch. Again, I will stamp the branch itself or the outline with the jet black ink. And then the green and solid portion of this with the Forest Glades ink. These are really easy to line up too, which for me is great because sometimes that can be the tricky part. You want to make sure and add a little shading with your Copic markers to these leaves as well so that they match the others. And I think that just really rounds out the design super nice. So there's what my background looks like. At this point, you can attach this to a card base if you wanted to. I trimmed it down very, very slightly, only 1/8 of an inch on 2 sides. And then I've added 3 lines of score tape, 2 1/8 inch strips of score tape and 1 1/4 inch of score tape along the bottom. I used the grid design on my work surface to help line those up. And then I'm going to take gold gilding flakes and press those in place right there on the score tape. You need something sticky for those gilding flakes to stick to. This will tie in really nicely with the gold embossing. And I'm going to just rub that in really well. You can see how quick and easy it is. Pick up any of those big pieces and put them back in the Gilding Flakes jar. Now to clean up the strips here and make sure you get anything that's maybe hanging on off of there and clean it up nice. I like to use a blender brush or some sort of a stipple brush. And then I take a Swiffer dry cloth and pick all those little flakes up. I just love the look of the gilding flakes. I think they are so elegant and pretty. To finish, I do think that I want to add a little gold up near the top of the card. You can take a glue pen. I could not find my fine tip glue pen at all. So I'm using the Stardust glitter pen, and it takes a minute to dry. So I'm going ahead and adding little dots of it to some of the flowers and then adding gold embossing powder on top of that. It's going to make all of those little areas glittery gold. And then go ahead and heat set this as well. And that brings a little bit of the gold that is so prominent on the bottom third of the card up a little bit higher into the design. Now this is when I did trim down that background just a little tiny bit. I don't want to cut too much because I really don't want to lose any of the detail. But this is going to clean up the sides of the card just a little bit. So off the top and the right side is where I trimmed it up. And then I put some adhesive on a top fold card base, and then I'll place the panel on there. And to finish off my card, I'm going to take some Nuvo crystal drops in Morning Dew, which is my favorite bottle of crystal drops to use with florals because I think it looks like dewdrops when you place it on your card. And I like to put little drops of them on the flower petals, on the leaves. I even put some throughout the rest of the design on the background. Just a few of them here and there. It looks a little milky white here, but as it dries, it's very translucent. It's not completely clear. If you want completely clear, go ahead and use glossy accents or the crystal glaze from Nuvo. But the Morning Dew will have just I hate to say a hint of color, but it won't be completely clear, even though it dries very translucent. You want to let these sit for a good 24 hours to be completely dry. Otherwise, they won't be hard enough. But after that, your card is ready to be sent in the mail. Thanks for joining me today for this floral thank you card featuring the Simon Says Stamp and Altenew STAMPtember Fabulous You stamp set. The supplies I used to create this card are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring floral designs that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.